Assalamu alaikum and peace and blessings be upon you and your family. I think sometimes because
I am wearing an outfit from
the Honorable Minister doing podcast. So I'm happy to be on the show with you.
Thank you so much.
a woman shall rise as high as her God-given gift. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to At My Sister's House. We are here with another episode. I'm bringing you another phenomenal sister to introduce to the nation, to the world. I am here sitting with our own sister Audrey F. Muhammad, who is the M.G.T and GCC coordinator of the Muhammad Study Group of Flint, right here in Michigan. I welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you. A pleasure.
Now, we're going to just jump in.
Okay.
And talk about the city of Flint and where are we at today.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I know Flint always get the negative.
Yes, ma'am.
However, Flint's a beautiful city.
Yes, it is.
Known for the arts, their exhibit, their fairs, etc.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of the good that's going on in Flint. I know you mentioned the new cultural center.
Yes, ma'am. The cultural center has been revamped, as we say. The Flint Public Library, last year we went through a lot of renovations, updated. We have a green room in there. We have a lot of rooms where you can even record music. And I can speak a lot on it because I'm on the library board there.
Yes.
And it has changed around a lot of things. One of the features to me as a child, we like light bright.
Exactly.
And they have a board that's set up like a light bright and you turn the dial to change the numbers on it. I was ready for it to open up. I was like, that's the first thing I'm going to go play
running
with.
over there.
That was the child in me.
Right.
I wanted to go do that. And then it has a lot of different things in there. And so it's actually growing. We just hired a new library board director and everything. So executive director, she'll be starting in July.
Excellent.
And it's a lot of things. You have the whole cultural center. You have the Flint Institute of Music, the Flint Institute of Arts. You have the Sloan Museum, because Sloan was one of the founding fathers, is to say, of General Motors.
Excellent.
So they have a lot of old cars exhibited in there and a lot of things that's in there. It would be like comparison to like one of the science museums.
Yeah.
We have the planetarium, which they go in there and there's times where they have different viewings. So like when you have, I say monumental viewings of the stars, they show that in there.
Wow.
It's actually a dome in there. So when you're sitting in there, you look up and you see, just like you looking into the sky, the whole galaxy. That was a highlight for me as a child. I used to love going to the planetarium. And it's set right in the middle of where Charles Stewart Mott's home was. And Charles Stewart Mott was the one who did the steering gears for General Motors and was an intricate founding father of General Motors also.
Wow.
And the estate is called Applewood. So you have a lot of great things in that area. And his family donated a lot of the land that's down there, including the land that has the community college on it. So the community college used to be Genesee County Community College. It's called Mott Community College, named after Charles Stewart Mott, who actually donated that land over there. A lot of people familiar with the Mott Foundation that's there. They do a lot of fundamental funding for a lot of different projects. They got the cultural school that's over there. And I learned something new this week. Hanging out in the library during the middle of the day while we were doing the interviews, the children from that school walk over and use the public library as their library because they don't have a library inside of their school. So there's a lot of great things. And then at one time, Flint, we had exhibited the highest educational paradigm really in the country because they sent people to Flint to learn about what it was we were doing culturally there and educational wise. Flint used to have, we unfortunately we don't have it now, but we had all of the automotive industry was there from General Motors. And so we have General Motors Institute, which is now called Kettering University, that produced some of the best engineers in the country.
And it's funny because a lot of time people hear the negative and they don't know Flint is literally the largest city in Genesee County.
Yes. Yeah.
And for those who don't know, if you come to Detroit and visit Detroit, Flint is 66 miles from Detroit.
Yes.
It's filled with so many beautiful things, beautiful people, beautiful attractions.
Parks.
And the parks. and we get lost in the negative news.
Yes, we do.
So I'm glad that you started by sharing the beauty of Flint and what's going on there. I recently, during the month of Ramadan, had an opportunity to come up to Flint.
You did.
And it was such a warm, welcoming environment. So on that note, can you let the people know, if on a Sunday, you in the Flint area, where would they come to hear a divine lecture of truth with the believers of the Muhammad Study Group of Flint?
Great. So since you were there, we got a new location.
Excellent.
We had Pastor Jeffrey Hawkins and his wife, First Lady April Hawkins. They worked out a deal with us for us to be able to move into their old church because they had closed their church. And it's located at 1417 Stevenson Avenues, right at the corner of Stevenson and DuPont. Great location, nice park across the street from us that they actually do a lot of different festivals and things in that park throughout the summer. So we're in an excellent location. It's back inside the city. More spacious. We got a lot of space there. We love to have you come out, visit us. We are in the process of getting things together.
Right.
But then you could get a chance to see us as we're growing.
Right.
And we all are really excited about being there.
Excellent. Well, again, you're invited, 1417 Stevenson, to come up to see the study group of Muhammad Mosque of Flint, Muhammad Study Group of Flint.
Yes.
So you're welcome to that.
Yes.
I thank you for that. I thank you because the spirit, the energy, the people, the believers, the food.
Yeah.
Yes, gifts.
Oh my goodness.
Was all wonderful, and we really enjoyed ourselves.
Right.
Now, one of the things that I do want to cover while we're talking about Flint is to get an update about April, March 2014, the big news come out.
Right.
The crisis with the pipeline, the water, etc.
Right.
Now we're approaching 10 years.
Yes,
next year.
we just finished 9 years just a couple weeks ago.
And what is the condition today?
To put it bluntly, the water is still poisoned.
Wow.
It's still a lot of things that we thought, like with just the lead, that was the kicker that got the attention of the federal government.
Okay.
But there's a lot of things in the water. There was a lot of, we found on and off PFAS, which is cancer causing agents. We just finished a nice cancer cluster studies, and it's ongoing. Actually, one of the gentlemen in the city, I have to just say it, Arthur Woodson, he actually spearheaded that and started working on getting the cancer cluster studies going in Flint, working with him through other organizations. So we had that. And then you have, of course, the fallout academically with our children that has been poisoned by the water from the high levels of lead. We actually are about to, I believe we have not completed all of the checking of all of the pipes to the service lines to the home.
Right.
So there haven't been no extensive pipe replacements done.
Wow.
We still have at least the water plant that would need to be done. So there's still a lot of work. I remember in the beginning saying this is not going to be an overnight deal.
Yes, ma'am.
It could have been done faster. It hasn't been done, but we still have a lot. And I can just honestly tell you, we still looking to get whole house filtration systems. It's still giving us those filters that fit on your sink. Those filters are not good.
And it's not sufficient for a home.
Nope.
It may work that area.
Just that faucet. It's not good. So I have a whole house filtration system thanks to you all here at the mosque here in Detroit.
Alhamdulillah.
You all donated one to me and to another sister when we first announced it, which was almost 2 years after the switch had happened.
Yes, ma'am.
It's been a blessing, but every year it costs to replace those filters in there in order to keep clean water. And so that filtration system actually connects directly to where the water source comes into the home.
Right.
And it hits it before it goes to your water heater, before it go to anything. It's already filtered out. So all of the water after that, it's coming through, and it should come through your faucets and stuff pretty clean. Give you comfort with taking a shower.
That's what I was going to say.
Washing your hands. You want that comfort.
Right.
So now you got that comfort. When you get that faucet that fits directly onto the faucet, now you got talking about kitchen sink, bathroom sinks.
Right.
Basement sinks.
Right.
Then you got to have the shower head changed because you need a filter there. What about the faucet that's outside you watering your food? You need a filter there.
Right.
So there is filters for those different things, but why should you have all those filters all through your home? It's better to have the whole house filtration system, so it's getting filtered much better. And then I also have a reverse osmosis right at the sink, so mine is getting double filtered.
Right.
Because I want to make sure of all of that. And there's other stuff in the water. Brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad came to Flint, and he made us aware that because he looked at the study of the water in Atlanta,
Yes,
Georgia,
ma'am.
which wherever you living at, check your water, have it checked, because all of the water across the country
Exactly.
is no good. But he talked about the pharmaceuticals that's in the water. So, oh, I'm done taking all of this script, and you throw it in the toilet or whatever, flush it down the toilet. You say, oh, I messed up. Let me just flush this down the toilet. No, those pills should be properly disposed. Take them to the pharmacy.
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
the main place. They will properly dispose of those pharmaceuticals. When they go into the water, the filtration system, the filtration system, the cities don't filter out the pharmaceuticals.
Wow.
So everyone is getting those pharmaceuticals back into their home. So you don't know what pharmaceuticals you actually getting in your water. But my whole house filtration system, it removes the pharmaceuticals from the water. It don't do it in any city. And so that was one of the biggest issues that he was talking about when he came to Flint, was talking about the pharmaceuticals in the water. You don't know what you're getting.
Now, with Flint, everything coming to light.
Yes.
And when it first received all this notoriety, there were a lot of promises made.
Yes, ma'am.
There were a lot of promises made. I didn't think overnight, but I did think sitting here 9 years later, we wouldn't be saying we're still suffering the same thing.
Yes, ma'am.
The notoriety came from celebrities, political heads, those who speak out. Have the city felt the pressure, or is the city feeling the pressure to make changes to go faster than what we're seeing right now?
From the people, but not from higher ups.
Okay.
We were made a lot of promises. And of course, we were taught politics is poly tricks,
Yes.
many tricks.
Yes.
And we were promised things, from the presidential elections all the way down into our governor's elections, into our mayoral elections, to the county. No matter, all levels of government have falsely promised us, made a lot of false promises to us. We have not seen a lot of the things in the accountability.
Yeah.
You got the money, why haven't you completed the project?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. And so we're really actually approaching some more extended deadlines. And I say extended deadlines because the deadlines have been extended several times.
Right.
So when will the people stop suffering? Is
Yes.
my question.
Right.
Many people who don't know. In the beginning, you always got those people who would say, ain't nothing wrong with the water.
Right.
So they
Right.
didn't stand up and fight. Then they said, do you really think something wrong with the water? Yeah, something is wrong with the water.
Right.
So by the time you take a person like me, growing up and knowing that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, boil your water.
Exactly.
Keep a pot of boiled water on the stove.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, with lead, when you boil it, it binds and gets worse.
Oh.
So a person like me, I'm boiling water constantly so I could cook. But now I got bad water. It's worse. It's worse than it was before I started boiling it. So you get that kind of effect. And you're like, well, dang, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to boil the water. He didn't tell us anything false.
Right.
This just was something that hadn't happened at the time when he was telling us
The
this.
lead
So
factor.
now you got to go a whole nother route. Now you need a filter and then still boil it. So we had major substations to go out here recently, and sewage and stuff backing into people's homes. We've had boil water alerts. But what was the crazy part, we had boil water alerts when the lead levels were high. Why are we boiling water when the lead levels are high? So governmental officials were still giving us false, mixed up, confusing information that the people and it took people people who are out there in the streets saying, no, don't boil your water.
Right.
No, just don't use it at all.
Right.
Go buy some water. And I thank Allah that we was taught about the water from the beginning.
Yes.
So I always was buying my water that I was drinking.
Yes.
However, I did use the water out the tap to cook with because we boiling it, right? So when the water crisis first started, you got people who are now receiving free water.
Yes.
Because the government promised us to see us through. We're going to make sure you get free water until we get this solved. I'm like, I ain't taking none of your free water. I'm going to go buy my water. I saw jugs of water that had on it bottled for Flint. Why do you need to put bottled for Flint on water that's just water?
Right.
That throws up a flag to me. But now we're not getting water as readily as we used to. So whereas you could just go anywhere literally and get free water, they have a few places a couple of days a week. But you got people who can't carry those waters. I can't tell you through the water crisis, doing home care, I would go to a patient's house. People delivering the water can't come in the house. They can bring it and set it for you at the door. Now you got an elderly person. How are they supposed to get that water from the door into their kitchen all the way to where they need it? Just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things that we all had to learn and we understood it. But if they had to listen to the cry of the people who were suffering, we could have got things done much faster and quicker and in a more efficient manner. So it was a lot of things that we all had to learn of what we have to do. I sometimes I would just stop and pick up cases of water and take them to my clients because I knew they needed them. But I can honestly say I've taken probably one free case of water, and I took it because I was taking it to an event and I drank some of it. But I bought my water. And I'll probably forever continue to buy bottled water until they say that's not any good anymore too.
So let me ask you this. Is the problem the pipes or the water? Or is it a combination?
Combination. We can't tell, see what led. And I actually talked to, we blessed with a lot of talent in the Nation of Islam.
Yes, ma'am.
So I actually talked to, I think his name is Brother Horatio. I talked to him. He's a civil engineer. And so he wanted to get a clearer understanding of what was going on. He said, sister, you can test your water right now and it's clean. And come back and test it 10 minutes later and it got lead in it because the lead was coming off the pipe and it's breaking off the pipes into the water. So you could never tell. I talked to another gentleman who said that what they should have done was this thing that they take and they push through all of the pipes, which would put a coating on the pipes, which would keep the lead from continuously leaching into the water. That didn't happen. There was so many things. We even had, a lot of the nation even offered the whole filtration system. That was denied. There was so many things that we could have done, but the pipes and the water, a combination of both, because they trying to see, because we get our water in Flint directly from Detroit. We buy our water from here. So now you got that whole filtration. They got to go all the way from here to there. So if there's a break in any of those lines,
there's where the problem could lie.
The problem could lie there.
Because Detroit for a long time was known for having some of the cleanest water and the water system here. As a matter of fact, many cities were trying to buy into taking over the water from Detroit because Detroit was known for having clean water.
Yes.
So we've seen a lot of celebrities, a lot of people speaking, bringing up systems up, and I'm thinking of quite a few in my own here who supposedly brought systems and they were going to provide water. Are those still there and available for the residents of Flint, or have things kind of didn't know it was going to last this long, tapped out?
Didn't know it was going to last this long.
Yeah. A
lot of things tapped out. A lot of the stuff, we still saw a lot of the disparities with the water. So with any type of funding that come through government, it's like if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
So we saw churches, organizations that had large quantities of water, and they had even members who did not live in Flint who utilized and got the free water, which the people in Flint was supposed to get it. When I was talking about the water stacking up, there was a house that had a bunch of cases of water sitting out front. The old man couldn't take the water in the house. So the water was sitting in the sun, and you can't leave plastic bottles in the sun because then it leaches poisons into the water. So we had a lot of things with people not knowing properly how to use it. So a lot of that tapped out. they said once they got the lead levels into a safe level, that they would then at that time we would start getting cut off. Well, they got into a safe level, but not a level of disappearance. So you still got lead in the water.
Wow.
But the water donations have dried up.
Right.
So every now and then you'll get somebody say, hey, look, we need to do some water giveaways.
Right.
We need to do this. We need to do that. People are not even trusting the water. They don't care what they say and do. They're not going to trust this water. And it's unfortunate because we know the water is still poison. I'm going to be honest. When the filters in my whole house filtration system start to going down, I start to getting the burning sensation in my skin.
And you can see.
And I can tell
know it's time.
So why would I still feel burning sensation and things from the water if the water was clean?
Yeah.
I shouldn't feel that at all.
Right.
With or without a filtration system. So we've talked about that. We really had enough donations that came in for Flint to take care and put a whole house filtration system in every home.
Wow.
And have filters available for them for several years. But with any type of monies coming in, you always have foundations that get their hands on the money. We're going to manage it for you. And a lot of the money go into administration fees. Some of it goes to the people, but a lot of it goes into administration fees. Those fees, we don't need you to manage our money like that. We don't need you to make $200,000 a year to tell us how to use our money for water. And that happens. It's so unfortunate because there was people who said, hey, look, I mean, like Sister Aurelia. This is a shout out to her. You know, Sister Aurelia that does our disaster preparedness. She knows about the government. She's offered to come. You know, she said, Sister, you all don't know how to look for the money. I can tell you billions of dollars have been donated to you all in Flint and y'all will never see it.
And you know, this we've seen before. We've seen it when everything happened in New Orleans.
Yes.
We saw this take place where monies were being sent, allocated into one arena to cover something, and it never got to the people who needed it the most. But a lot of organizations got fat off of it. People got big notorieties for their caring, but it never got to the people who actually needed it.
Exactly.
So let me ask you now, Flint is one of those cities, as small as it is and as large as it is at the same time, it gets its share of attention. So, of course, Flint has been in the news and TikToks and social media for some of the elected officials.
Gotcha.
How is that received, and how are those elected officials received amongst the people?
Interesting. So you always gonna have those ones, as we say, haters gonna always hate.
Yes.
And you have those ones who gonna be more receiving. I've seen people who were kind of on the fence, and now they see that this is happening and going into a positive manner. They're going kind of more into the positive manner, you know. But you still have some of those ones who had the things that was against the grain.
Yeah.
So to say, I could just say, because you want me, I could just say, you know, Councilman Eric Mays has been a great councilman.
Excellent.
Great friend. He doesn't look at, oh, you don't live in my ward, so I don't have to serve you. If you call him, he always answers his phone.
Excellent.
He literally, when he was on the Ricky Smiley show, gave out his number.
Yes, he did. Yes,
and I said, did Eric just give out his number? No, Eric, no. So I called him like a couple of days after he did it, just checking on him.
Yes, ma'am.
And he said, somebody's calling me, sister, stay on the phone, I'm gonna put you in on the three-way. And there was this lady calling from North Carolina. She said, is this Eric Mays? He said, yes, it is. And she said, oh my God, I can't believe you answered your phone for real and that the phone number was real.
Right.
She had no clue that
was going to get her in touch with him.
He don't care what time of day or night you call him. He's going to answer his phone. He's going to try to get you in with the best services. He'll, like, if you call him and say, hey, I got this pothole out here and I can't get it taken care of. He'll say, hold on for a minute. He's going to call that department with you on the phone. If they don't answer, you can leave them a message and he's going to say, this is Eric Mays. I'm on the phone with them.
Right.
For
the people.
It's for the people. He don't care where you stay. He said, my concentration is the first ward, but he actually loved everybody in the city. He don't care where you call him from. He's my go-to person.
Right.
And I don't live in this ward.
I can watch some of the TikToks and I get so caught up because he's just hilarious. And I think the famous one is when they go low, I go lower.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think every time I watch it, it just cracks me up.
Right.
But even in the midst of the humor,
yes.
even in the midst of all the disagreements that go on,
right,
you could tell when a person is standing up for
yes.
a principle and standing
yes.
on a principle.
Yes.
So my hat is off to him. I salute
yes.
him
yes.
for standing up for our people because we need those who will stand up, even in elected official roles,
yes,
to be for the people. And sometimes our voices aren't heard,
right.
and they may not always come off the way you may want them to, but as long as they're heard and they're standing on something, I think that's something to be recognized. So I'm glad you had a chance to clear up
yes,
all that we hear.
A lot of times he'll tell you, he'll say, hold on, slow down, because he's trying to grasp everything that you're saying, because he listens.
Right.
He listens and hear you. And this stuff, he'll say he's said things, and we're like, well, when did they say that?
Right.
He can tell you when it was they said it, and he can repeat it. And we're like, we missed that.
Right.
But he caught it.
Right.
And you like that one. My favorite one with him, I'm just going to say this, then we can move on, is when they say, Councilman Mays, you're not being germane. He said, I'm going to be Tito, Martin, Michael, and Jackie. I ain't got to just be germane or something like that. He said, and when he started,
why are you talking about the Jackson 5 right now?
And I just like lose. I'll be like, okay, I'm trying hard not to laugh. But it is so funny to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, Eric.
And sometimes just as the minister, he'll be teaching a strong subject and say a little humor.
Yes.
Every now and then, just a little humor.
And just know Councilman Mays loved the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He threw me into total shock. Like I said, I say this.
Right.
He was so funny. He was introducing me to, at that time, a new police chief, and I think it was a new superintendent of schools. And he was like, this is Sister Audrey Muhammad. You need to know her. She's in the community, da, 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 da. And then he said, hold on, wait a minute. And he takes his phone out and says, look at my screensaver, and it's a picture of him and the minister.
Alhamdulillah.
So he loved Minister Farrakhan.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes,
we thank Allah and we wish him nothing but the absolute best and in all of his good intentions and works. Now, I know you work with the school board through the library. The library through the school board. I'm a school board appointed board member at the library. The library has 7 positions. 4 of them are appointed through the school board, 3 of them through the city, and I just so happen to have one I'm appointed through the school board. Now, how is the school system there, the educational system, and what's going on for the babies? Right now, they're kind of in turmoil. I pray that they actually can sit down and work together because it's about the children. Exactly. Like Flint, like any other school system, we've seen our bad days. Yeah. We started out when I was a child, we had 4 high schools. And then the one that was the magnet school that went 7 through 12, so they made about 5 altogether. Right now we'll have 1. 1. Our pupil count has decreased to less than 3,000 in the school system. We've lost quite a few to like the charter schools and things like that, because the charter schools are really coming in every area. Yes, they are. But right now we're working on a lot of different things and a lot of different angles, and there's some things that because we have basically a whole new school board. Okay. The 2 senior members had like maybe 2 years on the board. Right. So you have a whole new, basically 5 other positions on there. And so they came up with a new curriculum for this year, and I'm praying that it's working. But as far as, they have to get together and sit down, set aside the petty differences that they have and work together, because the goal is the children. Help the children to move forward. Help them to get all of the resources that they need. And with some of the ESSER funds, which is kind of like the funding that the government sent for the pandemic, they have money to actually start a lot of great programs in the community, which
we've lost the whole educational system as a whole across the country. We've lost the stuff like the community school director that built the link the schools to the community and pulled us all in. They've lost a lot of the intramural programs. So if your child wants to play basketball, they got to get on them extra programs where you got to pay extra out your pocket for. And a lot of the supplies, you get that supply list at the beginning of the year. You're taking school supplies. A lot of those fundings have been lost. Well, those ESSER funds were supposed to come in and help to combat that. Make sure that they help assist with a lot of those different things that the schools need. The schools don't even really have the libraries like they used to.
Yes, ma'am.
They have lost a lot of resources, like, even like art programs.
Yes.
They got Title I, Title IV month. They got fundings that come in other ways, but you still need more to make sure that the teachers can have the proper tools that they need to teach our children properly.
Well, we'll have to really hope for better for that educational, for the babies there. Now, I want to kind of turn things a little bit. Okay. Because I know you're celebrating this month.
Yes, ma'am.
40 years as a registered member of the nation.
Yes, ma'am.
But that's not to take away from. You were born in this.
Yes, ma'am.
Growing up, what is some highlights you remember of your youth growing up in the Nation of Islam? And we must mention your mother served as a sister captain of Flint.
Yes, ma'am.
So what was it like growing up? Because now we see the woman who is now the coordinator of the same city that your mother was once captain of.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that like for you?
It's surreal. I always tell everybody that's my mom. That's my mama that's in charge of the Flint. It ain't me. That's what I say.
Right.
And and I have my little jokes with my sisters, because sometimes I'll find myself canning and doing things that she would do.
Yes.
And I'll be like, well, y'all come and get her. My mother returned to Allah in 2009.
Yes.
But still, I say to them, well, y'all come get your mama.
Right.
Well, what you doing? Because they know I'm doing something. I'm like, I can't stop.
Right.
I'm canning.
Right.
So, but growing up, we stopped going to the mosque when I was probably about 6, 7 years old. But my mom, I think, and I laugh about it, my mother, timing is everything. And being on time for her was, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught him, if you there on time, you're late.
Right.
So growing up, we would be running late. She like, we gonna be on the mother plane, waving at you by, because you didn't get there on time.